everybody. Welcome to our latest live stream with the Diaspora Academy. I am Semhar Araia, and we are just getting all of our socials to get connected, let our people come in. We're going to say hello to our Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube family. Welcome all. All right, today is Thursday, September 4. Just got back from a brief vacation, a brief few days away, and getting settled. I hope you all had a wonderful Labor Day for those of you that are based in the United States, and for those of you watching from different parts of the world, I hope it was a good Monday for you. Okay, so I'm going to confirm that we're online and we're good to go. There we are. And one more platform waiting for us. Yes. Good. Okay. All right, everyone. So as you know, the Diaspora Academy is a business that I started after many, many years of working on international affairs, law, public policy, civic engagement, philanthropy, and organizing in the community. I grew up in the States, but I'm also very proud of my Eritrean heritage. I grew up with a strong sense of my place in the world as an Eritrean in the diaspora. Eventually that I understood also as an Eritrean American, what it meant to be born and raised abroad in the United States, how it shaped me, what I've learned, and how I show up in places. For many of us, we show up quite naturally as who we are. We're proud of our heritage. And many of us, I mean all people, all human beings. You walk into a room and you show up in your most natural way. But something about living in the diaspora has given me an intentionality, understanding that what I walk into a room with is who I am as Semhar, but first and foremost, Eritrean and daughter of Eritrean immigrants, Gwala Araia, for those of you who speak Tigrinya, that means Araya's daughter. And then from there it unfolds. And so I really grew up leaning with my diasporic identity first and my Eritrean identity first. It took me time to realize that there were so many other parts to me that I was also carrying and presenting that I wasn't aware of. And over time I understood that for many of us who live in diaspora households and in communities, we hold on to our culture and our heritage because if we don't, who will? But we do so with such intention that sometimes you may not realize the other parts of you. It was a shock to me the first time I went back to Eritrea, but this time to be there for a long time. I had been to Eritrea multiple times as a teenager and as a student, and my first job was living and working in Eritrea. And it was initially virtual. I worked from the US, but then I ended up moving to Eritrea, and that move crystallized for me what made me the same and similar to my people and what made me different. And feeling different doesn't always feel good. Feeling different as a second generation, or feeling different as the daughter of, feeling different as an American, it felt like a pretty stark, rude awakening. Like, whoa, no matter how hard I try, there are some parts of me that are going to be very fill in the blank. If you're watching, you tell me if this resonates with you. But I realized that I have to understand this hyphenated experience. And that's where all this work began. Okay? So I'm coming to you on these live streams to continue sharing my story and why I think your story, why I know your story matters, but why I think there's levels to your story that you can unpack and that you should be unpacking and acknowledging and understanding and also leveraging, right? Like using your strengths as a member of a diaspora or as a friend of a diaspora to keep telling our stories, okay? So at the Diaspora Academy, what I've started to do when I started this company 2 years ago, it was for many reasons, as I've shared before, but the first obligation and responsibility that TDA has is to diasporas themselves, to you as an individual and to our communities as a whole. And what we care the most about is supporting you on your journey to become a better fill in the blank. And I mean that from a diaspora space. Fill in the blank professionally, fill in the blank civically, fill in the blank socially, community-wise. You know, being in the diaspora is it's a very tumultuous journey for your spirit. And it's tumultuous because you are tested in different ways. Identity is never easy to navigate, especially if you're brown and black in a majority white country. It's never easy to navigate if you're an immigrant who has left home and you have had to live in a new country. It's never easy if you've been raised in a home that has so many different cultural elements that sometimes you feel like you're competing. There's levels to it around navigating your journey, your story, and your migration. But then how you show up outside in the world, look, being authentic and being who you are is first and foremost the most important thing. But the skill sets of launching an idea, building a business, building an organization, building community, making friends, networking, professional development, all of that is very difficult for many of us who are from communities where we don't network and navigate systems in the same way. So my first and foremost obligation is to helping diasporas have the access, the investments, the resources, the guidance, the training to help you make your best decisions, right? And to help you put your best foot forward. And what that looks like is it's not a paycheck. Let's be clear. We are not in a position where we're funding or providing access to capital. Not yet, okay? Because I do think that is part of this work. But we are in the business of access to networks, access to institutions, access to skill sets that you need in order to move forward. Now, TDA is not all things. We don't do all things, but we do some things really well. And a big part of that is leadership development. A big part of that is professional development with career guidance, with coaching, with small businesses, with diaspora nonprofits. And we do partnerships really well. We know how a partnership should look if you're a diaspora individual or member or organization or business, or if you're a large institution or business. So if you're watching this and you're on one of the different platforms, you might be watching this as a member of a diaspora community, and this resonates. I hope it does. You might not be a member of a particular diaspora community or be watching because of that, but you're in a position in your workplace, you're in a position in your priorities in life and in the world to amplify and support diasporas. You might also be watching this from a homeland, a country that has a lot of diasporas abroad. In all respects, this is all about how we find each other and how we connect and how we do so effectively. So the Diaspora Academy, what we finally started to understand is diasporas need a space to incubate, to grow, to learn, and to really harness specific skills to make their ideas into a reality. And so when I sat with diasporas one-on-one, it was great, and it still is. But there's nothing like having diasporas come together and meet each other. And that is what I'm here to talk to you about. As you know, last week, or a few weeks back on our previous live stream, I announced the launch of the Diaspora Academy's signature program, the Diaspora Leadership Program, DLP. And DLP, when it started, was an intensive 6-week training where we took diasporas on a week-by-week basis with a curriculum that we've developed by myself. Okay, for those of you, I'll answer all your questions. But we developed a curriculum that is customized to the diaspora experience, that is focused on helping them identify their leadership gaps and their leadership opportunities and strengths, and help them devise that roadmap for making their ideas from an idea into a reality. And so that 6-week program was fantastic. It was great. I got to spend time with an incredible cohort. But I'm fighting a cold, so bear with me. 6 weeks is incredible. But I realize that our lives and our bandwidth and our capacities to participate in programs that long, not as many diasporas have that because we wear so many hats. So we now have created the DLP structure into a 3-week situation, and a 3-week, 3 Tuesdays with you. And that's what I'm here to answer your questions about and walk you through. The course, the Diaspora Leadership Program, is designed to help you identify, define, and design your diaspora initiative. And you may not know what you want to do yet. You may have burning questions about the diaspora experience, about your experience. You may not know how to make this idea connect with this idea, and that is the point of this program, is to bring anyone who has an inkling or an inspirational thought about wanting to make impact and not knowing where to start. It's also for those of you that have an idea and you wish you could do it, but you don't know where to go. This is the space where you not only get to learn best practices and training on organizational development, on professional development, and on leadership development, but you also get to connect with other diasporas. And for those of you watching who have followed my work over the years, you know that a lot of my work started with an African diaspora focus, which it continues to focus on. But we have grown into a global diaspora agency. And so our cohorts, the Diaspora Leadership Program, is an opportunity for you to connect with diasporas from all walks of life, from countries around the world. And one of the most beautiful things is watching West African, East African, South Asian, Eastern European, Caribbean, Latino diaspora members all sit together and compare their experiences between Haiti, between Belarus, between Armenia, Bosnia, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan. I mean, I'm not just naming countries. These are diasporas we've worked with. And then, of course, the continent almost as a whole. We've worked with diasporas from 80 different countries so far. And these 80 different countries have included peer-to-peer learnings like the DLP program and one-on-ones. But this is what I want you to know about, is the DLP space is for you. So before I forget, I'm supposed to do this and I keep forgetting. Okay, so I'm gonna invite you, if you want to drop questions or comments, to leave them in the chat of the platform you're watching. And I already see some. Thank you so much. And if you also if you can't stay for the whole thing, this will be recorded and you can watch it later. If you're watching this on YouTube, you are probably catching this after the fact. So wonderful to have you here, and I look forward to your comments as well. But for the socials, for the folks on the socials, I've got the Instagram chat open. I'm going to drop a message on Instagram, as I always do, and say, so with the DLP program, it is starting October 14, and today is September 4. And we're trying to give you as much notice to the announcement of this program so that you can prepare. The DLP program is held Tuesday, October 14, October 21, and October 28. Tuesdays from 12 to 2 Eastern Standard Time. And those 2 hours, it's about 90 minutes of discussion, presentation from me, and it's very informal. It's very personal. It isn't like just some webinar you can watch a recording of. You will get a chance to engage and connect with others. And in addition to the Tuesdays, we have Thursdays open for any Q&As if you want to meet with me one-on-one or if you want to have follow-up questions. And these 3 Tuesdays are designed to walk you through 3 major milestones. Okay? First milestone is understanding the diaspora experience and understanding it in a way that it contextualizes and helps you pinpoint where you are on what we call the diaspora journey. We have a framework that I walk you through that identifies no matter who you are, no matter where you're from, we're going to help you understand how a diasporic journey has impacted you either directly through your own migration story or through the migration story of your ancestors, including your parents or your elders or ancestors you never knew. So multi-generational diasporas as well. And that reality of the diaspora journey shapes how you identify yourself and how you move in this world. A little bit about what I said at the top of this when I said hello to everybody. It shapes how you move in this world. And we've really understood at TDA that diaspora journey shapes how you show up to business partners, to organizational prospects, to employers, to work colleagues. Your diasporic experience touches every part of your life. And it's important for you to see that. And if you are not identifying yourself as a member of a diaspora, but you're working with diaspora communities, this framework also helps you understand and gauge the readiness of diasporas as partners. And I say readiness because the diaspora journey is such a wide spectrum that if you are looking at establishing diaspora partnerships or diaspora engagement strategies, it's important for you to be able to contextualize what your prospects and what your partners, your diaspora partners, are going through. So we also advise organizations, businesses, and governments, and basically anyone who wants to interface with the diasporas. We work to make sure that your strategies are thoughtful, are inclusive, and are long-term, truthfully, because that is what diasporas require, the same as any other stakeholder in your business or your organization. But the first week is really about unpacking what it means to be a member of a diaspora and how diasporas drive impact. Okay, so this kind of lays the foundation. And after week 1, you will find that you have such a clearer understanding of what diasporas are doing for development, whether that's business, international development, local development, community development, but what diasporas as contributors, as investors, understanding how we move and how we organize and how we exist is really, really important. So week 1 crystallizes, I think, probably the hardest part of any diaspora experience or engagement is unpacking the what. And then week 2, it's sort of the how. We look at structures and operational frameworks that diasporas tend to build and that they should build. So we look at nonprofit, for-profit, community-based, but we also look at tying whatever framework you're pursuing to your actual values, your vision, your mission. And what this does is it helps diaspora change makers, as we affectionately call all of you, and our diaspora champions who may not identify as a member of a diaspora, but who are champions in this space. This helps you kind of identify the vision, mission, and framework that you want to pursue or that works for you given the constraints of your business, your operations, your budget, or your community dynamics or your capacity. Okay, so we have had cohorts where members in our DLP program are experienced in engaging with their communities, but they haven't figured out how to make it sustainable and or scalable. And so we talk about some of those community needs and also the vision and the goals of the founder or of the person that's in the course, and how you match up what your goals and your objectives are with the target community audience and the community that you're seeking to work with. So we do a lot of that sort of matching of sorts between this is your idea and your vision, and this is what you want to deliver. This is what you would have to do to make it work for you. So there's also guidance on understanding your target audience, the establishment of diaspora personas, building a business development case. And when I say business, I don't mean like for-profit, build a business. I mean, business can also mean busyness. Business means what you are in the business of doing. So even as an organizer, even as a campaign, as an advocate, you are going to need a business plan or a business strategy of some kind. Of course, we call it something different in that world. It's an advocacy strategy, right? It's campaign strategy, but the language, the jargon changes, but the point is the same. Week 2 really addresses the mechanics and the framework. And week 3, which I think is probably the most fulfilling after participants have gone through week 1 and 2, it's really addressing some of the real barriers and challenges to being a diaspora founder, a diaspora entrepreneur, a diaspora changemaker, which is navigating community dynamics, navigating the multiple levels of dynamics you have to consider, both in the diaspora community that you're a part of and in the industry community that you're looking to navigate. So you may be a diaspora health entrepreneur who wants to build a nonprofit to support women's health in a particular community, right? let's say Minneapolis, because I'm from Minneapolis. Um, Minneapolis and area trade gets so much love in my live streams, but it is what it is. But if you were a diaspora nonprofit entrepreneur who wanted to build an organization to serve a diaspora women's needs, you would not only need to think about the community that you are seeking to support and partner with, you also need to think of the health industry and the space that you are navigating there, because you are going to be a part of an industry that has standards, that has um, that has a network of its own and an ecosystem of its own. And so rather than have you walk blindly through it, we walk you through some of those considerations. And lastly, on week 3, we finish by talking about what long-term success looks like and how you, as a visionary and as a change maker and as a champion, it really boils down to the kind of narrative that you are building for this vision and how you define success in a way that it speaks to different audiences. Because success in the diaspora space looks different. It isn't hard and fast transactional metrics. It can be, and it oftentimes has that. But diaspora success, for so many reasons, is qualitative, it's relational, and it's transformative. And it is essentially, um, okay, good. I thought I lost a feed. It is essentially a transformational space that defining success requires you to be able to be very effective in your narrative, how you communicate wins, how you consider setbacks and challenges as opportunities, and how you help communities provide feedback that is constructive, that is helpful. So a lot of this is monitoring, evaluation, and learning. A lot of this is communications and effective messaging. But first and foremost, more than anything, it is about your mindset and about your willingness to embrace a mindset that communicates success in a way that is authentic and true. Okay, so I'm not saying sell something that isn't real, but diaspora change makers and champions, the success of your whatever it is that you're seeking to do or whatever impact you're seeking to make is all about how you consider success as a visionary. And you may not think of yourself as a visionary. For those of you that are struggling with that, you actually are. If you're listening to and considering this program, you have the seeds of what it takes to be a visionary change maker, because you will be going through a transformational experience. Now, a little bit about the logistics to the course. The course is virtual, it's recorded, and it's available for you to watch even if you're not available to attend. So you can sign up and you can miss every session. You won't get the chance to come back and forth with me, but you will get a chance to have the recording and do it at your own pace. And in addition to the course lectures, you have a workbook that consists of every module has a lesson plan. And I'm not trying to make this too educational, academic heavy, but it's essentially a guide with interactive worksheets. So you will have a workbook that guides you through everything we discussed. You will then have worksheets or interactive experiences that you can fill out and answer questions. The worksheets really do provide you with reflective questions to help you pinpoint how you want to identify, define, and design your diaspora idea. It's also going to it's going to require some internal work. Very good stuff to do sooner than later. And then lastly, in addition to getting the video recording of the course, you'll also have the deck. Every presentation we give, you'll have the transcript for the course. So again, we're trying to meet you where you are and how you want to learn. And the goal here is for you to have a transformational learning experience, preferably live, but even if it's at your own pace, I want you to have this in your back pocket so that whenever you feel like you want to make phenomenal impact, I promise you, if you identify as being a part of a diaspora community, your hyphenated experience is shaping your ideas more than you know. And we see a lot of the successful diaspora stories of individuals, I don't know, in Hollywood, music, media, fashion, culture, business, tech. At some point, their diaspora story comes out and ends up being the seed to why they did what they did. It could be an immigrant who's talking about their immigrant journey and what happened when they came to the United States or to whatever country. It could be a child of immigrants who understood the impact and the risks that their immigrant parents took and saw the need for them to aim high. It could also be someone who felt called or called or pulled to reconnect with a homeland that they never knew. And that discovery is so powerful. And so this umbilical and this discovery of your diasporic self is oftentimes the seed that is planted that builds Fortune 500 companies. Okay, now the challenge and the reality is many of those stories have often represented diaspora stories from the West, immigrants increasingly from the North, from Europe, from the United States, migrant stories that emerged from Europe that ended up in the US. But we're increasingly seeing loads and loads and loads of really powerful Black and brown diaspora change makers who are founders, who are successful entrepreneurs. And as smart and as brilliant as they are on their vision, a part of their journey was in fact the diasporic part of their experience. And so that's what we're trying to capture before you take off with your incredible ideas, before you decide that you want to do something for your community and you want to do something for the world. I want you to tap in and think of how has your diaspora journey shaped your ideas, and how will it continue to help you scale this idea into something phenomenal? Because I already know it's going to be phenomenal. Whether you're doing something in your functions as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as an employee, as a student, there's a lot of space and room we have to make diaspora impact. An example I'll give you is a few years ago, there was a natural disaster that occurred. I don't want to say too much because I don't want to like single out countries and communities, but imagine that you're a member of a diaspora community where you have natural disasters every year. You have typhoons, okay? And it's typhoon season, and the diaspora community knew that it's always typhoon season in this time. Like right now, we're just finishing up hurricane season in the Western Hemisphere. So because of that predictability, diaspora employees at a major Fortune, I think it's a Fortune 100 company, it's pretty big, that diaspora employees every year organized to dedicate their workplace contributions to nonprofits who were providing humanitarian assistance in their homeland. And so what that meant is they galvanized, maybe I think it was through an employee resource group. There's a few examples of this, but it's been done through employee resource groups. It's been done through informal networks at the workplace. And they started to collaborate as diasporas, as employees of a company who happened to be diaspora. And they galvanized their personal resources and brought it to the company's leadership and said, we have a fund that we'd like to start to support this disaster. And that company became a major donor for humanitarian response efforts. Okay? Again, I don't want to give too many details in this live stream, but you can imagine how many different examples like that could apply. Okay? This is what I mean by being a diaspora change maker. It can start at your home, at your school. It can exist in your day job, and it can be something as phenomenal as starting your own initiative. But wherever that space is, if you are a member of a diaspora or you are a champion of diasporas, there's room that needs investment, that needs time to unpack and plan. So I'm into strategic planning. I'm into building out the systems so that it can work. And I know a lot of us run and then we figure out what needs to go. We want to kind of correct that a little bit and think twice. I see some comments, so I'm just going to respond. And thanks for this and ensuring our diaspora communities are seen and heard. Thank you. That's wonderful to hear. I appreciate it. And so our goal right now is for you to save the date for October 14 and make time to register. So registration is easy. You're going to go to our website, thediasporaacademy.com, and you're going to see the Diaspora Leadership Program on the homepage. Click on that, and there's two kinds of registration. Everything I just discussed, general registration is available for you. You can do it if you don't want to pay in full. You have payment plans, because we also know that people are going through a lot right now. But I want you to remember how important it is that you invest in yourself. So we've gotten a pretty nice payment plan structure set up. And we also have a VIP structure, which is everything I just discussed plus 2 coaching sessions with me. Okay? I want you to understand the importance of giving yourself your own time and space to ideate, to design, to build, and to truthfully address some of what your inner motivations really are as a member of a diaspora. because intentions are always good, but the impact is what really matters. And if you aren't honest about your intentions and you aren't honest about what's driving you, then your impact will inevitably suffer. And so we want to ensure that diasporas are able to make that top-notch level of impact. Fundraising, programs, humanitarian assistance, campaign advocacy, helping a local nonprofit, building capital to start a business. We want to make sure that whatever you do, you're going to see it through and you're going to do it well. And that begins by you assessing your own personal strategic plan. So with that, with the VIP, that's why I offered 2 coaching sessions. So you'll have 2 one-hour sessions with me on top of all of the course materials and the course experience. These 2 one-hour sessions are designed as front end and back end. We'll meet first at the top of the DLP program. We'll meet right away so I can get to know you and get to hear what your questions and issues and needs are. And then we'll meet again at the end of the 3-week session to see how the session has shaped and informed your thinking, how your thinking has evolved or changed, so that we can continue to deepen what your diaspora goals and dreams are. Okay? A lot of times people just don't know where to start, and they really just don't know at all how to make this turn into something meaningful. That is what this program is here for. Because if I told you the number of times I have had one-on-ones with people who are all saying the same things, where do I start and how do I find that diaspora community? Those are the 2 things I get. It is the same question over and over again. And so this program is designed to kind of walk you through what we see as the most common pain points and needs of diasporas and partners of diasporas. I have much more to say about the program, but I think what's important for you to know is that for diasporas, we don't have, and I mean this globally, for people who identify in this hyphenated experience, who identify as being diasporic, who identify as having ties to an ancestral homeland. It doesn't have to be a country, it can be a continent. But if you identify as living in a diasporic way, you really don't have many places to go that address both sides of that, okay? Navigating where you live is enough work as it is, but then when you add on to the fact that you have or you want to have ties to a homeland, you don't know where to begin. You don't know what community to talk to. You don't know what stores to go to. You don't know what businesses or networks exist for you. That is what we help you do in mapping where you're going to go. Also, the feasibility of your ideas is very important to plan out. And when a diaspora changemaker says, I have an idea and I want to do it, you will get support from enthusiastic support from allies, partners, investors, donors, funders. You can find the support. But what you need the most support on is that validation of your vision and how and why it's important that you're doing it as a diaspora. Okay? I'm so proud to be Eritrean. I'm so proud to be the daughter of Eritrean immigrants. But I'm also very proud to be a part of the diaspora, part of the African diaspora, and the part of the global Black diaspora. That means many things to me. It isn't just one thing. And you have that right as well to unpack all the layers of how you identify, how you associate, and how you want to move with that in this world. And TDA is the only entity that is offering this space. No one else will give you a leadership program that speaks to your diasporic self. So you could be fresh out of school, looking for a job. You could be a senior exec, and you are going to have very similar challenges. And that is about leveraging and amplifying your authentic voice as a member of a diaspora, as a member of African, Arab, Asian, Latino, Caribbean, European, you take it all. But without that validation, it's very hard for you to see an idea come to fruition. Now, granted, there are some diasporas that have very strong networks, very strong examples out there in this world. Great. That is not necessarily who we're speaking to. We're speaking to the diasporas that come from underrepresented and underserved networks and communities. And so there's a lot of diasporas from the global south mostly, but also Europe, whose networks and community reach is hard to find. But because of my work, I have untapped a lot of diaspora networks. Like I said, we've trained over 350 changemakers from 80 different countries across Africa, the Arab-speaking world, Asia, the Caribbean, and yeah, I think even Latin America. If I had to say, I know I've done 1 or 2 countries in Central and South America. So that to me says that the diasporic journey truly is universal. But I don't think there's anyone else that's providing the support, particularly those of you that are in the West, in the U.S. Okay, we'll go over what is the definition of diasporas. Where do I fit? Where does this community fit in the diaspora nexus? It's really just your space. Okay, so I'm gonna quickly pivot to a couple of next steps. First, registration is open, so we're inviting you to also register and spread the word. If you have questions or you want more information, you can absolutely contact us, absolutely. But I want you to know that your space requires that you show up and that you engage with us. And so I would tell you we have an open door policy, as we always do, but I also would love to hear your feedback and your thoughts on what your needs are. Okay? So now our next live stream is on September 18th. That's in about 2 weeks. And between now and then, I want you to think about your needs, your diaspora questions, and come to me with any questions you have. There are many of you who have very specific, nuanced questions that we get over email and DMs, and we're responding to them. But I would also invite you to submit them here if you're able to, or send them to us any other time. Okay? I hope this helped. I'm going to give, okay, good. I'm going to give just a little more room for IG and thank the IG folks, thank the Facebook and the LinkedIn folks. Thank you all for joining. If you have any questions, please reach out. So, my friends, I'm going to do more live streams about different things, not just the DLP program, but we are in DLP time. This is your time, okay? This is the time for you to get ready. This is the time for you to ideate. And this is, quite frankly, the time for you to imagine something new. You know, many of us are going through transitions by choice and sometimes not by choice over what we're going to use our time, talent, and treasure for. And this is the kind of moment where DLP comes in and helps you ideate all that. So October 14 to 28, I want to see you. And also, thank you for joining me this whole time. All right, everyone, take care, and we'll see you soon. Bye.